The pride of a whole country erupting after a historic win. Breaking tonight, Canada beats Qatar for its first ever World Cup victory. The commanding win on home soil momentarily dampened by a frightening injury. The raw emotion with Canada's men now a giant step closer to advancing in the tournament. And healthcare workers offered an extra day off only to find out it wasn't what it seemed.
It is not in good taste. It is very insensitive and very disrespectful.
The outrage over a cybersecurity test. Plus, placing bets on real-world events from interest rates to the weather will soon be coming to Canada.
Prediction markets are an asset class that has boomed.
Why some say the risks outweigh the winnings.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault.
Thank you for joining us. Well. Canada's men's soccer team have earned a historic first-ever World Cup win with a dominating victory over Qatar. The squad is now closer to advancing to the knockout round with the most success they've ever had on the sport's biggest stage. More than 50,000 fans packed into BC Place in downtown Vancouver, all that red, cheering on their team as they scored goal after goal, ending the match 6-0. But the day wasn't without heartbreak, Canada suffering a devastating injury. So let's go to just outside the stadium now, where Ian's been for most of the day. Ian, talk about being in the right place at the right time.
Adrienne, we're about 100 meters away from BC Place, and even from here, 6 times we heard the raucous cheers of 50+ thousand people as Canada scored goal after goal. Caroline Bargut begins our coverage with how fans experienced this historic day.
Say who are Canada? Say who are Canada?
It was a sea of red as tens of thousands of people marched through downtown Vancouver to cheer on Team Canada. Their excitement undeniable.
It's a crazy experience. I've never been to a sporting event like this. It's wild.
It's incredible. First time in the World Cup in our home city. What a great showcase for us.
It feels great. It's like one of the best feelings you can ever feel.
Glad to be at home doing this. Go Canada!
The match bringing together fans from both teams.
Everyone feels connected in some way, even though, everyone is cheering for a different team, but somehow FIFA brings everyone together, and I think you can really feel it around the city.
Canada in a battle against Qatar in a critical match, and from the outset, Canada dominated. 16 minutes into the game, and Kyle Larin scored Canada's first goal. Then Jonathan David followed quickly with 2 more. Prime Minister Mark Carney celebrated in the crowd. Canada was highly favored to win this match, in 30th place on the FIFA rankings, while Qatar was at 49.
Oh my God! Go Canada! So exciting! I'm so excited! We're going to take it! We're going to do it!
Early in the second half, a devastating injury for Ismail Kone, taken off the pitch in a stretcher. With a 2-man advantage, Nathan Saliba capitalized, dedicating the goal to his injured teammate. The final score, 6-0 for Canada. Jonathan David scoring a World Cup hat-trick.
We're going to win this World Cup this year.
A tie or a win puts us in first, and first puts us playing back here, so I might be spending more money.
6-0, we take that. Bring us Switzerland. Come on!
Let's go!
Canada's next game is on Wednesday against Switzerland here in Vancouver.
And that is going to be an important match for Canada, Caroline.
That's right, it will be, and that is because Canada only needs a draw against Switzerland in order to be at the top of their group. Now, this is important because that would mean they would get the home team advantage for the first match of the knockout rounds. I did want to give you a little bit of a small update about Ismail Kone. Now, head coach Jesse Marsh says that he is strong, he will bounce back, but he didn't say anything more about his condition.
All right, Caroline Bargut, thank you very much. Let's go to Dan Burritt, who is with fans in Vancouver. I know the game ended some time ago, but the party on Gravel Street continues. Show us what's going on, Dan.
win. The country, take a look at this. How's everyone feeling? Unbelievable. These fans have been here. Some of them have been here since the beginning. These ladies have been sitting here with all their friends, taking in the game, enjoying a few beverages, really soaking it all in. What do you think of that victory?
Oh my God, so amazing. The fact that we won like 6 goals, it's amazing. We love Canada so much.
How about you?
Oh, fantastic. I can't believe they scored 6 times. It's amazing. Woo!
And you came decked out. You've got the flashers on it everywhere.
Gotta go to the dollar store and get decked out for the World Cup. Why not?
And you, the face paint, you're ready to go. What was it like to be here?
Oh, this is amazing. Woo, this is Vancouver at its finest. Team Canada, go! Woo!
As you can see, everybody, again, the weather, Mother Nature showing off. The South Coast really showing off with some of the nicest weather we've had in a long time. Not too hot, not humid, and all sorts of places that people can go. Everything from, you've got all sorts of fan zones that people can visit. There are the vuvuzelas, the cocktails. There was a bouncy ball on the power lines that everyone got a little bit nervous about, but it looks like it's okay. This party will likely continue for some time, but whatever jersey you're wearing, people are happy to be here, and red and white is dominating after a dominating win. Incredible fans who are very, very happy.
Dan Bird rocking the CBC football jersey perfectly. Thank you so much. Fans in Toronto are also feeling every moment of the big win this afternoon. Canada's other host city came alive. Thousands of people packing the downtown FIFA Fan Festival, cheering on the action together. Well, I'm very curious to hear the reaction of our next guest, Bob Lenarduzzi. You have played for Canada at the World Cup. You have coached Canada's men's team. You were at the match today.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was a little overwhelming. Started with the walk to the stadium, and you could feel the energy start to generate. Then you get into the building, and then the national anthem comes along, and virtually everyone is singing it. And then we got off to a great start, scoring after 15 minutes, and we got a little bit of, well, not good fortune, but them going down to 10 men obviously helped us as well.
You have done so much to build soccer in this country, but in particular in this city. If anybody deserved to watch that first win by Team Canada at the Men's World Cup, it's you, Bob. And at the moment, I don't know if it was 3-0, 4-0, at the moment you knew Canada was going to win, how did you feel?
A real sense of satisfaction, and also you reminisce at that point. And I think back to 1973 when I got my first cap in Toronto against Poland. And it's been 53 years since then, so it's taken too long, but at least we're there now. And I can honestly say we'll never not qualify for another World Cup again. And I really believe that the match against Switzerland, now we have the luxury of getting a draw and getting through. They don't. So if we can get a result there, then we'll be hosting here, and the momentum will continue.
If we can get a draw there. You're an analytical guy when it comes to soccer. What do you think Canada's chances are?
I think they're great. Switzerland drew against Qatar, 1-1. Qatar got a late equalizer. But I think if we go out with the same mentality we did today, I think also, too, it's worth pointing out, we got the jitters out of our system in Toronto. We started strong this game, and getting that early goal was a just reward for the pressure we were putting on. And then after that, we just looked in complete control, and the result was never in doubt. It was really just getting that fourth goal, which we did, and not conceding one.
We have just seconds left. You and I have been in this city for Stanley Cup finals, for Olympics. The vibe feels different this time around.
It is different, and the fact that there is these watch parties in all of the municipalities, it feels like it's hockey. We're a long way from hockey, but to your point, I think there's a real surge and a momentum, and we just need to keep it going by getting a result against Sweden and staying here in Vancouver.
Soccer deserves it. You deserve it, Bob. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Ian.
Canada's fate in the tournament will come down to next week's match against Switzerland here in Vancouver. So lots to talk about. But for now, let's head back to Adrienne in Toronto with tonight's other top stories. Adrienne?
Hey, thanks, Ian. Well, as a memorandum of understanding that ends the war with Iran kicks in, both Washington and Tehran are warning each other to hold up their end of the bargain.
This was not easy.
The memorandum of understanding is now in effect for 60 days. Blockades and sanctions lifted, limited traffic through the Strait of Hormuz beginning to flow again.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Along with defenses of the deal from the White House.
President Trump said yesterday that he was going to blame you if the talks with Iran go sideways. Are you worried that he's going to make you the fall guy?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the president was joking.
The vice president stressing Iran isn't getting billions of dollars under the agreement for nothing.
The Iranians have to perform. And if they don't perform, as we've said before, they don't get any of the benefits of the bargains.
Already the deal is under strain. Iran's chief negotiator suggesting ships will continue to pay tolls to cross the strait, and Israel launching more attacks in southern Lebanon, killing at least 3, according to local officials. The official signing ceremony in Switzerland, originally set for Friday, has been postponed. Well, Ukraine has launched its largest drone offensive against Moscow since the war began more than 4 years ago. The strikes damaged a key oil refinery, caused fires, and suspended flights. Briar Stewart shows us the aftermath and the message the attack sends.
Black smoke filled the sky over Moscow, even as more Ukrainian drones kept speeding toward the capital. Shots rang out as air defenses tried to shoot them down. This was the second time in 3 days that Ukraine hit this oil refinery on the city's south side, a strike that launched the lid of an oil storage tank into the air. This was the largest drone attack on Moscow since the war began. Ukraine's president said the attack was retribution for a strike on a historic Kiev monastery on Monday. We do not want this war, and we never wanted it, said Volodymyr Zelensky. But if Ukraine burns, your Moscow will burn. In the area around the capital, an apartment building was hit by a drone. Officials say at least 17 people were injured. There was no comment from Vladimir Putin, who is hundreds of kilometers away, hosting leaders from Southeast Asian nations in central Russia. Nearly 4.5 years into Russia's invasion, this may be the closest the war has ever felt for many of the 13 million living here.
I don't like to civilian people suffering, but only people of Moscow can stop this war.
This Ukrainian energy expert says after months of strikes on refineries, Russia is beginning to feel the pressure, but says attacks would have to continue at this pace for weeks for there to be widespread fuel shortages.
But step by step, it's more and more damages, more and more problem.
In response, Russia's foreign minister has vowed more attacks. In Brussels on Thursday, Germany and Britain pledged hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid for Ukraine. But Kyiv says what it really needs now is more U.S.-made Patriot interceptor missiles. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Toronto police have arrested a suspect in connection to a shooting at the U.S. consulate in March. 19-year-old Zahra Jabi faces 6 charges, including weapons offenses and vehicle theft. Police arrested another suspect during a series of raids connected to various shootings, including the one on the consulate. A police officer was shot and killed while carrying out one of those raids. Well, 2 unions representing healthcare workers in Newfoundland and Labrador are demanding an investigation tonight after staff got an email promising them an extra day off. But as Abby Cole explains, that email turned out to be fake.
When Newfoundland and Labrador brought in a new digital health information system in April, it meant more work for healthcare workers. That's why this email, promising a day off in recognition of their hard work, was a welcome surprise until they clicked the button to register and found out it was actually a phishing test by the employer.
It is not in good taste. It is very insensitive and very disrespectful to our members.
Unions representing healthcare workers are demanding action.
Whoever is responsible for sending this has to be dealt with, and then a full investigation to make sure this never happens again.
Phishing tests are simulated cyber attacks used by organizations to teach employees to be careful when opening emails.
So doing a fake phishing test is a little bit like having a fire drill. It's testing how will people react when something happens. That is kind of a negative thing that we want people to be able to respond to.
But Jonathan Anderson says crafting these tests is a balancing act.
The closer you get to the real incident, the more of a genuine reaction you get from people. But on the other hand, not like traumatizing your people. When we have a fire drill, we don't fill the hallway with smoke.
After the backlash, the CEO of Newfoundland and Labrador Health apologized.
I asked the leadership in digital health to immediately kill that email. And as well, I have people looking into now how the approvals mechanisms for that particular campaign, how they happen. So we're reviewing that now, and obviously we want to learn from that so that doesn't happen again.
NL Health is taking full responsibility and says an update on their investigation into how this happened will be available within a couple weeks. Abby Cole, CBC News, St. John's.
Canadian retail investors are about to get their first taste of prediction markets. Regulators opened the door to the booming trend earlier this year, but as Nora Young explains, critics say this is just high-risk gambling dressed in a fancy financial suit.
Prediction market trading is coming to Canada, with Wealthsimple set to launch a new app for retail investors this summer.
This is not your typical investment asset. These are very simple contracts, and they're all or nothing. Either you win big or you lose your entire stake. So this is the Kalshi.
Those contracts are effectively bets, letting people put money on whether a real-world event is going to happen or not. Canadian regulators banned prediction markets in 2017 over concerns about investor harms. But they've exploded in the U.S. The biggest platforms, Kalshi and Polymarket, together had a monthly global trading volume of about $24 billion US in April alone. In the U.S., you can put money on pretty much anything. Sports, the Iran conflict.
Will Trump say Sleepy Joe this week?
Even mentions whether someone will say a particular word.
They would love to see a guy like Sleepy Joe.
In Canada, the scope will be more limited, with regulators only approving contracts on climate, financial markets, or economic indicators. That's what Wealthsimple will offer through Kalshi.
Prediction markets are an asset class that has boomed. It doesn't come as a major shock that Wealthsimple wants a piece of that action.
Kalshi and Polymarket have come under fire in the U.S. for things like insider trading. A U.S. soldier was arrested for allegedly winning hundreds of thousands of dollars by putting money on the capture of Venezuela's leader before it was public knowledge. It's also been criticized for being another form of gambling.
Where I could see this potentially happening is for someone that is already experiencing some harms and maybe have a gambling addiction.
Wealthsimple told us the app will have the same investor protection standards as their other products. Still, multiple studies show that most users lose money on prediction markets. Only a tiny fraction of users take up the lion's share of the profits. Nora Young, CBC News, Toronto.
Before taking in the World Cup game, Mark Carney announced major new funding for the community of Tumbler Ridge, BC, to build a new school and modernize the healthcare center after February's devastating mass shooting.
A new school for bright kids to learn, grow, and dream, and better facilities for the incredible healthcare workers who support those in need.
Ottawa and BC will provide $100 million each. The Prime Minister says construction is expected to start this summer with the removal of Tumbler Ridge Secondary. That's where most of the 8 victims were killed. Well, fans are pushing back against the newly added hydration breaks at this year's World Cup.
It changes the character of each half quite significantly.
Safety precaution or cash grab? A grand opening for the Barack Obama Presidential Center.
And I hope you take pride in what we accomplish together.
The star-studded lineup. and some fishy predictions.
Zimbabwe! Zimbabwe!
We're back in 2. A most excellent, pretty rowdy time in Canada's easternmost city tonight as soccer fans celebrated Canada's first ever World Cup win, a 6-0 victory over Qatar. This watch party at St. John's Trinity Pub, one of many across the country. We can do it all again next week when Canada faces Switzerland Wednesday. Well, for soccer fans, the thrill of this World Cup may be familiar, but one thing is new: regular hydration breaks for player safety, according to FIFA. But Thomas Daig shows us why they're getting a cold reception.
In Toronto, fans endured the rain, celebrating Ghana's win well into the night. A soggy, windy match that had crowds at the stadium booing, loudly protesting the World Cup's new mandatory hydration breaks. A move that has fans wondering whether FIFA was motivated by money.
I like the idea of them when the weather is actually hot. It felt pointless yesterday.
It was raining at the time, and we felt they were completely unnecessary.
With the tournament co-hosted by some sweltering southern cities, FIFA announced each match would be stopped twice for player safety, with 3-minute hydration breaks added midway through each half.
It changes the character of each half quite significantly because it gives you the chance to regroup.
But England supporters also booed when their match was paused, even in an air-conditioned stadium.
Cheers!
And some broadcasters have filled the stoppage in play by cutting to commercials.
He's probably making some more money for FIFA. Hydration break turned into a commercial break.
Every time going to commercial is a bit, not really that I like it. And I think for the neutral watchers on TV, it's also not great.
At one match, fans spotted an official holding up the game, seemingly until the TV ad break was over.
USA!
Critics call it the Americanization of soccer, splitting matches into 4 quarters, NFL style, instead of allowing tension to build through each 45-minute half.
I think the hydration tends to break the momentum of whichever team has it, so I think that's difficult.
FIFA has only confirmed the hydration breaks will go on for every game this tournament. There's no word yet on future events, like next year's Women's World Cup in Brazil. Thomas Daig, CBC News, Toronto.
A ceremony has been held to officially open Barack Obama's presidential library.
When you visit this center today or in days to come, I hope you see yourselves and your hard work reflected in every exhibit.
His message for Americans at a time of deep political division. After the break, Rosie's here with At Issue. Hey, Rosie.
Hey, Adrienne. It is our final At Issue of the season. The House of Commons is now on a summer break. We have a lot to go over, from Mark Carney's G7 trip and the latest Kuzma threat from Trump to the challenges that await the Liberals in the months ahead. Chantal Althea and Andrew join me to talk about that and more.
A star-studded lineup on hand for the opening of the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago today. And as Magda Gabrisalasa explains, the ceremony highlighted Obama's legacy and drew a sharp contrast to that of Donald Trump.
Singers like John Legend and Christina Aguilera performed, and celebrities and foreign dignitaries watched on, while the official opening of the Obama Presidential Center celebrated a living legacy.
When you visit this center, I hope you see yourselves and your hard work reflected in every exhibit. And I hope you take pride in what we accomplish together.
The sprawling center in Southside Chicago includes a library, sports area, park, and museum. It's touted as being a place to honor the community, American history, and the Obama's journey. The former First Lady praised her husband for his time as president.
You were doing the people's work, rescuing our economy, expanding health care, ending a war, ordering the bin Laden raid, saving an auto industry, winning a peace prize.
That last comment getting laughs, seemingly a jab at Donald Trump, the only living president not in attendance. Trump has openly mocked the Obama project, even posting a doctored image of it previously. All this while his own ambitions have taken some recent hits. A court order required him to remove his name from the Kennedy Center, and several artists from Martina McBride to the Commodores backed out of his planned bash for America's 250th birthday.
This isn't just about, who gets the more A-list stars at their event.
This American history and politics lecturer says when it comes to legacy, the Obamas command respect.
Their brand is held in very high regard, and I think they have high cultural legitimacy. I don't think that is something that we can say about the Trumps.
The center opens Friday. Already, it's a major draw. Museum tickets are sold out for months. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
Tonight on The Breakdown, Rosie's here with At Issue.
At issue, Mark Carney at the G7. The annual meeting was dominated by conversations about the deal between Iran and the U.S., with Carney praising the deal for ensuring Iran never has a nuclear weapon.
Moving to this position where that's been taken off the table, yes, that's working.
But was followed with Trump again attacking his trade deal with Canada and Mexico.
I would rather not have the USMCA. The primary reason I wanted it was because there was no way out of NAFTA, which was the worst trade agreement ever made, like ever.
So did the Prime Minister have a good G7 meeting? Does it matter if Trump did not meet with Carney directly for a bilateral on the sidelines? I'm Rosemary Barton, here to break it all down for our final At Issue of the season. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, Althea Raj. Andrew, I'm going to start with you on this one. I mean, there are lots of different threads out of the meeting. Iran, probably the big one, and Carney was praising at least the fact that they had reached a deal. But to go back to the president, they had a number of kind of conversations on the sidelines, but no sort of official conversation about any of the particular issues, I don't think, that needed to be addressed. What does that matter at all, do you think?
I don't really think so. It's a symbolic thing. I think the British press was very upset because Keir Starmer didn't get a bilateral either. But I don't think there was much that was going to go on in a meeting like that anyway. Most of the heavy lifting on CUSMA is being done by, officials, as they usually are. The whole G7 was a little bit of a farce, as it more and more is these days, where, the other G7 members pretended to be enthused about the Iran deal in return for Trump pretending to be enthused about taking the side of Ukraine in the Ukraine war. There's nothing to be enthused about with this Iran deal other than that the war that was so ill-advised to begin with is now, we think, for the time being, over, but not without having achieved any of the objectives that were supposedly behind it. It's hard to see why people were so excited, except that they've decided for the moment to go back to the flatter Trump strategy. Well, we saw what the result was of that was in the next day or two, Trump started talking about pulling out of CUSMA, and Pete Hegseth's talking about pulling the troops out of Europe. So I don't know how many times we have to keep relearning this lesson that the flatter Trump strategy doesn't really work.
That may be true, Chantal, but I also don't know that the insult Trump strategy works either. So I don't know what line you walk.
No, I agree that there is no line to walk because there is no line. So you kind of do what you can. And the insult Trump, I think the G6, the other six, mostly to start with, wanted the Iran issue put to rest. Yeah. Forget that the U.S. won or lost or whatever, to restore some kind of normality, as far as you can get back to normality these days, in getting oil across the strait and tamping down hostilities. So that is one. That being said, considering that there is a July 1st kind of deadline, it's not a deadline, you're dead on July 1st, but we are in that period. An optimum scenario would have been for the Prime Minister and the President not only to meet, but to send together a signal to their teams that they wanted this settled. Yeah. And that didn't happen at the G7.
And is that a problem, Althea, for the Prime Minister? Because they have been signaling that they don't think that they're going to meet that deadline. But if there's no even conversation, as Chantal says, that we know of anyway, where they said, let's get this deal done, and the President turns around and says the same stuff he's been saying, I don't know how much that matters.
Well, there was a discussion that happened on the sidelines between our chief negotiator and the minister in charge of the Canada-U.S. relation with their counterpart. I think it does signal that Trump does not want to come to the table and that perhaps Canada has not conceded enough to get Trump to want to have a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Carney. I don't think that we need to be worried about that, though. I mean, it would have been a very positive signal had that happened. That signal is not there for obvious reasons, and the president kind of elaborated on those reasons after the G7 was over. I also don't think that we need to, assume worst case scenario, because I think this is like pre-negotiation posturing, and we will see what actually emerges in terms of later on this summer and into the fall. He is right, though, when he says that the Canadians and the Mexicans thought that the 6-year deadline to, as a time span to renegotiate this deal meant that Trump would no longer be in office. That is true. They did pick that date because they did think that if he won a second term, he would be gone. But alas, he is still here.
There was a line put in the final communique, Andrew, about other countries taking the lesson from Iran and turning to Canada for our natural resources, our energy. I wonder whether you thought that was a nod also to some of the trade conversations that are happening and the realization that this is kind of the direction that the Carney government wants to go in.
Well, yeah, I mean, Carney drew an explicit connection with a lot of things, but between the oil thing, the AI thing with Anthropic, where they were cut off, and we've suddenly realized, oh, we can't necessarily rely on U.S. artificial intelligence either. That the theme that sort of is throughout this thing is we can't be exposed to bottlenecks. So yeah, Canada's energy, supposing we're prepared to bring it to market, is much more highly valued in this kind of world where we're very vulnerable, very aware of bottlenecks, very much more in demand, and that was clearly part of the language that was trying to express.
Do you think that Europe is I mean, Germany obviously has some deals, Chantal, but is Europe interested in that conversation, even if it's going to upset Donald Trump and he wants to keep things?
Up to a point, but the real issue is how long does it take for us to get to that point?
Yeah.
Where we are a solution to a problem, and is the problem still going to be the problem by the time we get to the solution? You're talking, pipelines, things that we're not even discussing, and you're looking at a 5 to 10 year time frame. Meanwhile, though, while we live in this bubble where we are walking away from decarbonization, Europe is not. And at some point, there will be a gap between one and the other. I'm not totally convinced that words mean a lot in this case.
Last 30 seconds to you there, Althea.
I would say I think it was a coup, actually, to have Canada mentioned by name in the declaration, because if it does anything, actually, it will probably drive investment to Canadian projects. So I'm sure the government is very pleased to have that language agreed to by the parties in there. I think the other thing that the meeting highlighted, or rather what happened on the sidelines of the meeting, which was the CNN interview with the Prime Minister highlighted, is that a majority has now given Prime Minister Carney a much longer leash to take a much more, an approach to Trump that is placating him. Like, nobody at all thinks that this is a good deal. But the Prime Minister is not talking to Canadians. He is just talking to Donald Trump. And I don't know that he would have been able to do that, 6 months ago, because the prospect of an election was around the corner.
Okay. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about what that majority has changed and the things he has ahead of him when we come back. We'll look at the summer ahead and those challenges that the Prime Minister and the Liberals might face back in September when the House returns. From Alberta separatism to trade irritants and pipelines, what are some of the biggest issues on the horizon? That's next. At issue, the challenges ahead. With the House on break for the summer, the Liberals will still have issues to manage in the next months and beyond, from an upcoming Alberta referendum to trade uncertainty with the U.S. and the Liberal majority facing more by-elections. So what could be the biggest challenges for the Liberals in the months ahead leading up to when the House comes back? Let's bring everyone back. Chantal, Andrew, and Althea. I said the by-elections because I think we're up to 6 now. Of course, the Prime Minister gets to decide when to call them, although there's time parameters. But that is something that's out there as well because the majority is fragile. But Chantal, let me start with you. What do you think is sort of the big obstacle or the big shiny thing that the Prime Minister needs to keep an eye on in the months ahead?
There's nothing that's big and shiny, but the by-elections probably belong at the bottom of the list. Why? Because I don't think the Prime Minister is going to be calling by-elections in the middle of an Alberta plebiscite and an election campaign in Quebec, so that pushes it back to later in the fall, for one. Two, by the time the House comes back, the Conservatives will be missing an MP, the NDP will be missing an MP, and so will the Bloc Québécois. So when it comes to the math of a majority, not a big change. Plus, the Bloc Québécois is not about to bring down the government in the middle of an election campaign. So let's set that aside.
Okay.
And
Good.
look at the, well, no,
Yeah,
that means we'll have more fun in November
That's
or
right.
December.
That's right.
But look at these timelines.
Yeah.
In theory, Alberta is supposed to present the federal government with a pipeline plan by July 1st. The federal government is supposed to decide that it gives it national interest project status, meaning we're behind it and we're speeding it up. By October 1st, Quebec goes to the polls on the 5th. Alberta has the plebiscite on whether they want a referendum on separation on the 19th. So there is some interesting navigating. If you were in a canoe looking at these 3 dates, you would think you'll need to be good with your paddle. And that's basically where things will rest. And we will know on November 1st whether Mark Carney is home safe and dry or whether we are in a storm.
And how do you think he will navigate, if we continue this metaphor, Andrew, how do you think he will navigate those things? Because it's the time frame and the pull from all those different things that is so fascinating that he's going to have to deal with.
Well, and that's just one of the things he has to navigate. He's got a series of very difficult squares to circle or trade-offs to weigh, so that's one of them. Energy versus the environment, building pipelines versus, I mean, Chantal's right that right now the climate's kind of on the back burner, but it's not going to go away. And it's certainly given more political acuteness by what she described there, where you've got these twin referendums or elections in Alberta and Quebec, where, you know, if you build a pipeline to please Alberta, do you annoy Quebecers and vice versa? So that's one. Secondly, he's got to deal with this question of how do we diversify trade and defense alliances away from the United States while still recognizing the reality that most of our trade is going to be with the United States, and for the time being, they're supposed to be our protector. This is a dilemma that's facing, of course, all of the democratic countries. You see Europe going through this at the same time of how do we build something to replace NATO while keeping NATO in place. But it's particularly acute for Canada since we're so dependent on the United States for both those things. Thirdly, he's got to try to, he's got a big defense buildup and other spending demands on his plate at the same time as, you know, federal finances are pretty rapidly deteriorating. So that's a very difficult square to circle. And then finally, the political one is he's got to keep trying to reach across the center-right voters to keep the Conservatives in check. But, you know, the NDP has not gone away. And the more that he departs from liberal orthodoxy on things like the environment, the more that he's a little bit exposed on his left flank. Not so great to trouble him unduly at this point, but that certainly could become that.
Althea?
I agree with everything Chantal and Andrew said. I would just possibly add forest fires and CUSMA to the mix in the summer, because if the country is burning, you know, it makes it a bit more difficult for the Liberals to go full on in more fossil fuel investment. But I actually want to talk about what happened this week, because I think it feeds into a possible problem that the Liberals need to be attuned to. Last week, Michael Sabia, speaking at the Eurasia Group, this is the clerk of the Privy Council, talked about one of the things the Carney government has that's an asset, which is trust from the public. What happened this week is that the Liberals decided to use their majority to shut down debate and pass legislation that is very controversial, bills that were not studied, in some cases had no witnesses that even testified as to whether this was good or bad. We had the lawful access bill that has gotten a bit more attention across the country. And the government completely shut down the debate. In some cases, they even backdated the ability of opposition members to bring forward amendments, so only government members could bring forward amendments. We have never seen anything like this, ever. Like, we have talked a lot about these kind of moves during the Harper era, especially during his majority government, and with reason. I think we deserve to talk and highlight what is happening in this case. And I bring it up because the trust issue. The government House leader talked about he hoped the conspiracies around C-22, the lawful access bill, would go away, that time would allow these to pass. He talked about tinfoil hat people. This is not a way to bring people along. Okay. If anything, it fuels conspiracies. So there was no reason to pass these bills. They could have taken the summer to study them and bring more Canadians on side. And I think that they are taking, they risk taking, I should say, Canadians' votes for granted. Okay, right now, the vote. I think right now the vote is parked in the very same way that Pierre Poilievre's vote was parked, because people don't like the other options. So I think they need to be sensitive to this.
Okay, so let's hear from everyone else then. Chantal?
I agree that it's unprecedented to find the government using its newly found majority, not obtained at the polls, to speed up or force feed 9 bills through the House of Commons. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. And I believe that in the end, it leads one to poor relationships between the parties, and you never know when you're going to need help from across the aisle in many instances. But it also leads to bad legislation, because no legislation that is brought in a hurry is perfect. And to not want to hear what others have to say about this is kind of leading you into a place that you're not going to like a couple of years from now.
Last minute or so to you there, Andrew.
I'll just add a couple of things to that. One is it's playing to a certain stereotype, if you will, of liberals. If the besetting sin of conservatives is a certain chippy defensiveness, the besetting sin of liberals is arrogance. And the smart ones in the liberal camp always know that that's their kryptonite. So it's not good to be playing to that. It's not good for a guy who's kind of the top dog type, as Mark Carney is, to be seen to be too conscious of it. A little bit of personal humility and governmental humility is always becoming in somebody who is, in fact, the top dog. Final point I'll make is just as an addition to this, in terms of the trust issue, and maybe a sleeper on this, is artificial intelligence, AI. The public is really worried, really scared by this. All the polls show it. That paper that the federal government brought out talked a lot about trust, but did very little in terms of concrete proposals to try to allay public fears in this. The overriding message of the thing was full speed ahead, and that could come back to bite them.
Yeah, they would probably point to the privacy legislation as trying to build trust. I'm not saying that it will, but
in fact, it doesn't. It makes the Privacy Commission accountable to the government rather than accountable to Parliament.
Yes, and those are all bridges that they will have to cross, I guess, in the fall. Okay, good conversation. I'll miss you. You will never believe it, but it's true. That's it for At Issue on the National. I will. You guys will too, I know. We're going to continue this conversation and talk about Mark Carney's question period attendance. Catch that on YouTube and the At Issue podcast. Now back to Adrienne in Toronto.
We will indeed, Rosie. Thank you. Now, coming up, a high-stakes pick by a very tiny fish.
You just predicted the Canada-Qatar game this morning. There was a lot of pressure on him.
Of course, Mbappé's golden guess next in our moment. That is Swimbappe, a goldfish with a pretty big responsibility. He is predicting, or at least trying to predict in his goldfish way, the winners of each World Cup match from his tank in Toronto. So with Canada playing its most critical contest yet, Swimbappe is coming off his biggest prediction. How did he fare? Well, tonight, that's our moment.
Swimbappe! Swimbappe!
The Swimbappe is our oracle goldfish, and he's going to be predicting all 104 matches of the tournament this summer. He's doing really well so far. We put a flag on one side of the tank, a flag on the other. The side of the tank that he swims is his prediction. He just predicted The Canada-Qatar game this morning, there was a lot of pressure on him. There was a lot of Canada fans outside of the tank watching him pick.
3, 2, 1.
He was kind of hovering around the middle. At the last minute, he picked the Canada side. It was an intense moment. So Mbappe is out here representing Canada. He's got 12 games correct. Ties are tough. His little fish body isn't great at communicating ties. We trust the process, we trust the fish to lead us to victory.
Okay, fair enough on the ties. And no disrespect to the goldfish, but I don't think any creature predictor could be better than Paul the octopus. 2010 correctly predicted all of Germany's games in the World Cup and the winner. You've got a long way to go, Mbappe. From all of us at The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.